So the vagus nerve actually connects our brain through different parts of our body and goes into our visceral organs. Most of the organs of our digestive system, the vagus nerve goes deeply in it, including our bowel. Um, so we have the nerve pathways that connect our brain to our digestive system. But it doesn't end there. The connection between the nervous system and our digestive system is not just about the vagus nerve. There's so many more aspects. The bowel, our digestive system, is the main pathways that we use as humans to detox our body. So it absorbs the food, but it also is where the toxins are meant to leave. So the blood circulates around our body, collects all the toxins and the waste and the dead cells, brings it to the liver, who then processes it and puts it in the bowel, combined with bile, puts in the bowel to be eliminated. Now, with our kids, our sensitive kids, many of them, their detox system is actually broken down. So the toxins are actually not leaving the body. They stay in their body and they keep on getting reabsorbed over and over and over. And so that's a major problem. And that's a major part of the connection between gut and brain health. Because those toxins that don't leave the body and that end up being reabsorbed, they get reabsorbed into our brain as well. And then our brain is not able to function correctly and properly. That's when we see a lot of challenges with sensory processing. So if you have a child who's sensitive to touch, or a child who really seeks intense physical input, your child might be running into a wall, or they might really like fighting and doing things like that are really intense, or jumping on a trampoline. Why is that? Because their sensory system is not processing the input correctly, or a child who is very sensitive to sound or light. I have worked with so many children that will often go under a blanket or cover their eyes, and they need the lights of the whole house to be off. They need the curtains to be closed because they're not able to process the sensory input from that light, the visual sensory input. This is happening because our kids' brain is flooded with toxins, and those toxins are affecting their ability to process sensory input. So the gut is not only responsible for the vagus nerve and it sends messages to the brain when it feels safe, it's responsible for the nutrients that are going to feed the brain and the nervous system, is also responsible for the detoxing pathways. If the gut is not functioning properly, most likely, almost certainly, your child is not detoxing correctly. We cannot just detox through the skin or our lungs, our urine, right? There are many toxins that won't leave the body if the bowel is not working properly. The other thing that happens, the deep connection between gut and brain health, is if there is an inflammation in our gut, and we know there's an inflammation in our gut, if your child is bloated, if your child has food sensitivity, if they don't do well with gluten, dairy, any other food, eggs, whatever food that your child is sensitive to, that means there is some inflammation in the gut. They're not able to process that food. Other signs of gut inflammation. I have worked with so many children who like hold their stomach and scream and cry in pain. So there's also diarrhea, constipation. Those are all signs of gut inflammation. But you might have heard about leaky gut. So what is leaky gut? Leaky gut is when there's the walls of the digestive system are inflamed because of abnormal gut flora. So some abnormal gut flora and pathogenic microbes, they actually bury themselves in the wall of the digestive system, creating roots. Yeast does that, right? Yeast overgrowth, candida does that. And it buries their roots into the walls of the digestive system, making it more permeable. Our digestive system is supposed to be somewhat permeable because that's where our body passes the nutrients from the food into our bloodstream. But when the holes become so big that the food start being absorbed undigested, that's when it becomes an issue. Now, whenever you have leaky gut, you also have a leaky blood and brain barrier. But what happens is with leaky gut, that food gets absorbed undigested. Because first of all, the food is not being digested properly because there is abnormal gut flora, which is the gut flora is responsible and helps us with the digestion of food. But then you have also leaky blood and brain barrier. So now this food is being absorbed undigested into the bloodstream. It's circulating through the body and being absorbed in the brain because the blood is actually going direct into the brain and that blood and brain barrier is not working. So the same cells that are responsible for our gut permeability are also responsible for blood and brain barrier permeability. So now you have this undigested food that is actually lodging into your child's brain and causing a lot of problems. So what we see is inflammation in the brain. We see autoimmunity, where the immune system start attacking the cells of the brain because that protein, that food protein, is not meant to be in the brain. So the brain is trying to clear out the debris and the toxins that are there and the partially digested food that is not supposed to be there, and is launching inflammation and trying to remove that, right? But what that leads to is actually those proteins are very similar to the human protein, and so the body ends up attacking the human proteins as well. And when things are going wild in our gut, they end up going wild in our brain too. And then there's no surprise that our children are not able to focus. They're not able to concentrate. They're not able to learn. They're not able to regulate their nervous system and their emotions. They're not able to sleep and do all the things that we want them to do. When we give our children the nutrients, the detox protocols, and the tools to function optimally, the body wants to heal. Your child's body wants to heal. They do. And the body has the wisdom and the knowledge for thousands and thousands and thousands of years that comes with us that knows what to do. But sometimes our children's body need help from the outside. And that's when we come in to help them.